If you want to see the glass of champagne as half full, you'll go to the French presidential election. Macron's victory over Marine Le Pen, was a spectacularly positive moment in this context. And I think that was the high point of the year in terms of, the system upholding itself. In America, the Madisonian system of checks and balances, the American Constitution, has basically been doing its job insofar as it's been tested. The courts have checked Trump on the Muslim ban and other issues. Robert Mueller, the special counsel, is investigating when he has the resources. In fact, he has the best forensic sort of attorneys in America to investigate the allegations of collusion with Russia in the Trump campaign. And the media, my profession, I think is doing a pretty good job. So that side of it is upholding. Congress hasn't yet really been tested. And if we do get to an impeachment sort of charge sheet from the special counsel, I'm skeptical as to whether a Republican-controlled, or even one where the Democrats don't have 2/3 of the Senate, which is what you need to really proceed with impeachment. I'm very skeptical as to whether the system will work then. But we'll wait and see. Where it is failing is in terms of the underlying economics that I think led to Trump's election. And the tax bill that he has passed, the one thing he has got done, is I think going to drastically exacerbate the conditions that led to his victory in the first place. So I'm concerned about the retreat of Western liberalism. I'm not concerned about the retreat of Western democracy. I don't think the majority voice is somehow going to be cancelled, or that we're all going to be disenfranchised, or at least not through sort of legal shutdown of electoral system, maybe through our own inertia. There is a danger. But so the retreat of Western liberalism is to do with the strength of the institutions and our participation in those institutions and our trust in those institutions that sustain the kind of vital society and economy in which democracy flourishes and can be trusted. The tyranny of the majority that Tocqueville wrote about and that the Founding Fathers were so fearful of, what we now call demophobia, fear of the mob, is a concern that's gone way back to the Enlightenment and even before. And I think that concern is rising again with the election of people like Trump, with the Brexit vote, the near sort of win of a far-right candidate in the Austrian elections, and other examples, and that elites are becoming more skeptical of democracy. That sort of Victorian demophobia is making a comeback. There's another term, oikophobia, fear of those who live near you. It's the opposite of xenophobia, fear of those under your nose, fear of the Appalachians, or the people who live in Sheffield or Sunderland or whatever it might be. And so the threat to democracy, I don't really think necessarily comes from populist movements. I think it comes from the elite reaction to populist movements. Now, another manifestation of that is what's happened to Trumpian populism in the United States since he came into office. As I said earlier, the only bill he's passed is a tax bill. And there's a phrase that my colleague Martin Wolf uses, Pluto populism, that what he's really doing is he's creating a kind of Latin American situation where the very rich backers in a very unequal society are getting rewarded. The imagery, the politics, the oratory, is common man, is man of the people, but it's Peronist in a way. But the actions are very elitist, they're very plutocratic. So when you ask, is populism a necessary corrective? I guess I avoid the word populism, but because it can mean so many things. It's a very fungible term. What I do think we are seeing is a retreat of Western liberalism, and that's a slightly different thing. China is not going to replace America, A, because it cannot, and B, because it doesn't want to. It cannot because it is just not America. America is a universal model. In theory and in many respects in practice, anybody can be American. And anybody can find the creed that America is built on an attractive one. And it is a nation of immigrants. China is not a nation of immigrants. It's not got a universal culture to which anybody theoretically could belong. First. Second, America has allies. Remember, its power isn't just its own great might. Its power is multiplied through alliances. It's got treaty alliances on every continent in the world.
Significantly fewer now than before, perhaps.
Significantly fewer now. Well, they might be weaker, but they're still formally there. Yeah. China has one treaty ally, Mongolia. One.
That's right.
And North Korea isn't even an ally. So, you know, for China to be able to replace the United States, it has to be desired by the rest of the world. It cannot impose itself on the world. It has to do so through soft and hard diplomacy. As we mentioned earlier, we have to have a Marshall Plan for the middle classes. We need to have the kinds of investments in people's skills, lifelong learning, from early learning, you know, through workplace learning and adult education. And we needed it yesterday, or the day before yesterday, and that should be a national priority. I also think infrastructure. I mean, Trump does have that as one of his priorities. He doesn't have a very credible infrastructure plan as one of his priorities. But if he developed a credible one, he has the bipartisan sweet spot. Democrats cannot vote against an intelligent public infrastructure plan that crowds in private investment. And anybody who's sort of in a vaguely reasonable state of mind, you know, and isn't in the room with one of the Koch brothers would agree that this is a national priority for the United States and would stimulate all kinds of other good things.